We have to now start looking at the way forward, but just before that, I'd like to read this reaction from Joseph Ahumibe, who's writing, sent us a mail from Dublin. If you're still attending creche at 57, you have failed woefully. At independence, we had so much hope. We had a third world country we have a third world country for a reason. Just look around you. Nothing is working. We need to start getting things right before it's too late. Joseph Ahumibe.
Okay, let me take this comment from Festus Akimboye, where he says, the Civil War, all the military governments, corrupt politicians, corrupt captains of industries, and poor leadership have all made Nigeria a paralyzed and disoriented country. Nevertheless, happy Independence Day to us. We shall overcome one day. And Ajayi says, devolution of powers will be meaningful and productive when properly laid. Hashtag accountability and monitoring needed. Otherwise, hashtag hell for the people.
The fact that Nigeria is still alive is worth celebrating, even though it hasn't matured as it should. So we still have...
The life of the country, Alera, is not comparable, to the life of man.
A human being.
A human being, okay? I mean, it takes, even in monologous societies, all right, it still takes time for, proper, blending to take place. But if you look at Nigeria, how many tribes do we have? How many religions? Things are so, so difficultly, put together. So that it will take us time.
Dr. Kupe,
57 years in the life of a nation is not too much.
Dr. Kupe.
So we can still be in the crash.
It will take, no, we're not in the crash. We're a developing nation. Okay. We're an emerging, we're an emerging democracy. But we will have to go steadily. Dr. Kupe, but we have to go rightly.
We have less than 3 minutes to wind down.
Okay.
So
the way forward.
What is the vision? What are we seeing? Nigeria, or ethnic groups or political parties? What's the way forward?
The way forward is to do the first things first. You cannot continue to play on a field that is, that you have bottles, stones, and
potholes.
Potholes. You've got to remove those things first. Okay. And that is why we're saying, if people do not like the word restructuring, the point is that it is a federal state, for goodness sake. True federalism is what everybody is asking about. Okay. Let me give an example.
Your final word,
No, let me give an example.
I beg your pardon, Dr. Okupe.
Okay.
Mr. Okechukwu, your final word, please, on the way forward.
My final word is the fact that democracy is not a revolution. All growth recorded in liberal democracy throughout history had been incremental. And the foundation being laid today will lead Nigeria to one of the first-class countries of the world. All we need is support. We should stop lamentation because the solid foundation to revamp our infrastructure is being laid by President Muhammadu Buhari. We also have to appeal to our state governors to also try to emulate Mr. President in being transparent, both in the local council elections and both in the management of funds. Most of the states were not able to pay salaries when Mr. President entered, and he had released almost $1 trillion. And some of the states did not use these monies for the salaries of pensioners. We appeal that the little funds that comes to the states should be judiciously and prudently used, the way Mr. President is today trying to use at the center. Okay. If we can minimize the corruption in the land, we'll get to where we're going.
Okay. Thank you,
Mr. Democracy.
Thank you, Mr. Okechukwu. I understand we have a few more minutes, so you can now conclude, Dr. Okupe.
I was going to give you an example I had on the radio while I was coming. One young man called the station and said, as far as it's concerned, restructuring is like you can liken it to, a group of people in a motor convoy. They're going to the same destination. But there's a patrol vehicle in front, and it's going at 30 kilometers an hour. But because he's the one that is leading, every other person is going at that rate. Meanwhile, each of those cars can do 150 kilometers an hour. Some can do 120. It depends on your maneuverability, the efficiency of your car, the state of the car. So the idea is let every part of this country be allowed to develop to its fullest potential unhindered. Nobody is asking. I will never be part of anything that we talk about breaking up of Nigeria. I am a capitalist by birth, by nature, by training, by development. You understand? And large numbers are always something that is advantageous. But what we're saying is that unless we are able to do things properly, all right, allow for smaller units. Let's move apart a little bit so that we can, our unity can be assured. Stronger. That is the point.
Okay, Mr. Naji.
Well, it's very, very simple. Everything under the sun is simple, but our thinking makes them complex. The opportunity the president had going to London and coming back is like the position of Saul, who became Paul on his way to Damascus. So the president can change from his ways, which people believed had exacerbated agitations on many facets, and make every part of this country part of his constituency. Like a very good cook must employ all the condiments to come with seasoned pot of soup. Let me just end it there.
You and this pot of soup that you're always
That is the simple way to deliver a very complex issue. Because of time. This is a live program and we don't have much time.
Okay, Tune Bay says, Uncle Donyon Kukwe has suddenly become a truth sayer. He's made lots of sense since he left government. Any reactions?
He has become Paul.
Yeah. Truth sayer.
Paul.
Yes.
No longer
He's
Saul.
now on the way to Damascus.
People confuse when you're in government to when you're not. When you're in government, you have a responsibility. Yeah. You have something you have to do. Like Osita is doing. You understand my point. So, I understand the whole game. It's not an issue.
Okay.
No, the people writing don't understand.
Okay. Tune Bay says, the way forward is for all to be honest, selfless, and patriotic.
Correct.
Nigeria is greater than and will outlive us all.
Correct.
That's what
That's
he says.
fantastic.
Simple.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
But you can't give what you don't have. Knowledge in our recruitment system for leadership is very important.
Okay.
Though he's a medical doctor, a carpenter cannot operate in the theater.
Simeon Alpha says,
Cook in the kitchen.
Says,
The doctor can cook.
please, Donyo Kukwe's first recommendation to stop lying should be number 2. First solution is to return the benefits of lying.
To return
The benefits of lying.
Well said.
All the thieving.
Oh, well said. Well said. Everybody who participates in government has stolen. That's the Nigerian definition. It is not true.
Okay, all right.
I have never stolen money before in my life. I will never steal money. I come from a family that is
the
solid.
benefits
Okay,
of
you
lying.
didn't steal money. You
I
stole.
have
You
never-
stole other things. You're being very specific. You've never stolen money.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So you stole other things.
What other things are there to
That
steal
may
in
be
government?
what money's worth.
I don't know. You and I will discuss this after.
Okay, hold on.
Jalili is being very negative here, and he says our country is heading nowhere. The elites who enjoy the milk of this country is its problem. Jalili,
That is true.
well, happy
You must
Independence
not
Day, he
be-
says.
You must
Elites are
not
the problem.
address Jalili because
we
it's
do
not
not
seeing
have
the
an
milk and
elitist
honey.
consensus.
Okay.
We have not
sense of
evolved an
disappointment.
elitist consensus in the country. If you're a southern elite, your idea is different. If you're a northern elite, your idea is different. So there's no true Nigeria. I'm a Yoruba man and a southerner and a Christian.
we all need to begin to look at Nigeria.
We must first of all, you must see Donyo Kukwe as a Yoruba man, a southerner and a Christian, and be ready to tolerate and accept me and the way I have been brought up. I must also be able to see Balarabe Musa as a northerner and as a Muslim, and to understand where he's coming from. So, and we cannot do that from a distance. And we can also do that by just, once there's a problem, the northerners go and discuss the structuring. Yoruba people go to Ibadan, discuss the structuring. That is not the thing. The thing is that let's come to Abuja You know,
One table.
You know, it is not the carpenters, it is not the taxi drivers. You know, I went to Ibadan. You know, we took the decision, but it was us elites that were there that took the decision that was ratified by our people. So let's take ourselves. Let the elites in Ibadan that came to Ibadan and the ones that went to Kaduna yesterday,
take the first
and
step?
the ones that in the east, let's come together
Leadership
and
at
speak
the highest notch.
without any intimidation.
Okay, so
Leadership at
are you
the high
avoiding the
notch
word
must
referendum?
galvanize all
gotta
these
say-
efforts.
I've got to say thank you to
Yes.
everybody. I've got to
Yes.
say thank you. I've got to say
Allow,
thank you.
let's just do this. Chimle Nukunedo says, you have not lived 57 years elsewhere, yet you are condemning Nigeria. That's reaction to that one. Says, there were good old days and we can make it happen again.
Correct.
And that's a good place
Well
to hand
said.
it.
Correct,
Well said.
correct.
Thank you very much. We have been looking at the journey so far, you know, regarding Nigeria's independence tomorrow, and we were chatting with Dr. Doyin Okukwe, Southwest leader of the Accord Party, Mr. Chima, is it Dr. Chima Naji?
Whichever.
Legal practitioner, and Mr. Osita Okechukwu, who is Director General over at Voice of Nigeria, who joined us from our studio in Abuja. Thank you all very much, gentlemen, and happy Independence Day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
God
very
bless
much, and
you.
happy independence
God bless
to Nigeria.
Nigeria.
God bless
and
Nigeria,
continue
indeed.
to bless Nigeria, and let the rain fall on all roofs.